And it's also an age where you're trying to manage, for the first time, I think, I really think from my experience of working with kids, this is one of the first time when you actually are regulating not just generalized distress, but you're regulating certain emotions that you probably haven't labeled well before. You're feeling lonely. There's a sort of existential loneliness comes into this age group, and you start to see a bigger world than you or your friends and your family. The possibilities for feeling lonely, or feeling really angry about something that happens, or feeling really depressed or sad for a long period, it seems to kind of initiate at this point. The emotions are a little bit more momentary for most kids at the first to third grade. They seem to get better faster. They seem to change their emotions more quickly. They don't get stuck in an angry mood that they hang on to, or they don't get stuck in feeling sad and lonely that they hang on to for a long time. So it's a time for regulating your emotions again, for labeling and regulating your emotions again. And the WITS Leads book list will be here, and also it's distributed across Aboriginal, English, and French. The WITS Leads books are more likely to be picture books that are a little older. The Madonna books are in the WITS Leads program. The English Roses and Mr. Peabody's Apples. There's also a number of chapter books in this program, which can be read either in small groups, or they can be read out, like over a continuous period. I think Wendy Hollop read Noseboy one chapter per week. It drove the kids crazy because they wanted more. They wanted the book today. They wanted the whole thing read today, but it kind of continued over a long time. So again, it has the same kind of components, teachers, parents, emergency service personnel. The police go in and can do something we call the tug of help. It's in the WITS manual at the back. And basically, they have a long tug of war rope, and the big policeman or some big person stands on one end, and the little person stands on the other. And the way Tom Woods talks about it is that, this person is going to take away your right to feel safe in your class, in your school, and he just hauls you across the floor because you've been prepared and you don't have your shoes on. And then the person who's the littler person goes and sort of gathers up his helping team. So he can get you and you and you and kids from the class, and gradually you increase the number of people on the end of the rope, and eventually you kind of pull the bully over to your side is the idea, and they, like the rhesus queen, become part of your side, and can either get help or can at least the relationships are more balanced in that situation. So one of the exercises in this book is basically tell us what's happening here in this book. So it's typically not hard to get them to act it out. I mean, they know what relational victimization is. They know what exclusion is, what teasing is. There's absolutely no difficulty when you ask them, what's going on here, for them to actually act it out. So you can do this before you've read the book. You can do this kind of, what do you think is going to happen here? What would be a good resolution? And then you can start to read the book. And there's a number of activities, like the other book, that are written in the Leads program. So you're trying in this part to sort of say, how do you understand other people's feelings, intentions, and inner thoughts? How do you know what you're looking at? How do you know when you're listening to someone? What are some basic skills for looking and listening? And how are things different for different people? So, these three people might have felt one way sitting under the umbrella. A third person might have felt really unhappy about being part of this group and leaving that kid out, that made them uncomfortable, that we all take different roles as bystanders in these kind of things. And if you're feeling uncomfortable in that group, what can you do to bring in the person who's been left out, or to stop the dynamic of the group? There's a lot of work on bystanders, and particularly in this age group. And if kids intervene in any way to stop the bullying, it tends to stop. It tends to be shut down. If one of these people had just said, "Oh, she's new, let's just ask her over," the others probably would have gone along with it. Or, "Oh, she's got an extra umbrella, two of us could not get wet," something. So there's a lot in this first section about reflective listening, watching people's internal worlds, trying to remember things you see about people. So the modified Kim's game is to remember what someone had on, what color was their shirt. You have them leave the room, and first you only let one person answer, and then you get more and more people helping to find the answer. So you get, again, this sort of sense that if we help each other, we're more likely to get the right answer. This, again, exploring points of view. How do people look and listen to words, thoughts, and feelings? How do we understand this indirect or relational aggression? What's the kind of inner things we are telling ourselves? What are our postures telling other people? There's a number of exercises in there where Wendy got people up and acted out how do you hurt people without hitting them. And then they talked about different ways of hurting this kid without actually hitting them. Although it took some work, even with the 5th grade, to get them not to use their hands. You weren't allowed to touch the person. So they did struggle a bit with what was mean and what wasn't mean, and how you can perceive meanness in other people, and how this is a mean thing to do. There's a certain amount of they just don't know here. Again, you're the adults, you have the information. Yes, they're doing mean things to each other, but in some ways they need to know that this is mean, that you disapprove of it, that it's not covert, that you can see it, and particularly if someone's reporting it to you, you can talk about it, you can do something about it. Again, learning about expectations, what people are doing. There's this came from the Barbara Coloroso book, but it's actually Alveus's work on bystanders. And you can play different roles in relation to the bullying. You can be the puppet for the puppeteer. You can follow what they do. You can support the people who are following. You can be the sort of people who are out there cheering, saying, yeah, get that guy. Or you can be someone who is the victim. You can be someone who defends the victim, who runs off and says, we need help here. Other ways of defending the person who's being victimized, being a friend to the person who's victimized, just saying, come on, let's go, let's leave this situation, can stop a bullying incident. And we really are working in these little kids, in this K-5 population, K-6 population, on educating kids in terms of social responsibility, how to play fair, how to be nice to each other, how to keep their school safe. So we are, again, not dealing with the most highly aggressive kids who, are in a school setting, but we're really trying to get the general community to treat each other well, hoping that some of that will rub off on the highly aggressive kids too. The act part, again, the Bully Dance is a really cute little film that's widely available. You can download it now off of the net. It's a National Film Board film, and without any words, talks about physical aggression and relational aggression. And the kids can see it, and they can talk about it. And it happens so fast. I had to watch this film about 16 times. There's all these little ants running around doing things, but the kids pick it up like that. They're really able to see things in hyper speed. And you can stop there's no words, so you can stop the film anywhere, ask them what's going on, what should be done, what should happen, how can we help the bully person.